With this machine less so, but on a traditional machine, your grind size matters. And the big problem with making espresso traditionally is you're trying to control the brewing time. The contact time that water spends with coffee determines how much flavor can be drawn from the coffee. And different people will have different preferences, but normally the more time that the water spends with coffee, the more flavor it will draw. And some of those flavors will be good and some of those flavors will be bad. So we normally say there's under extraction, which is you didn't bring enough flavor, and so the flavors that it does bring, the really easy ones to pull from the coffee, tend to be really simple chemicals that taste really bad. So citric acid is a really good one, so often under-extracted coffee tastes sour. I don't have a chemical name for this, but the flavor of cheap paracetamol, nothing covering it up, that's the other flavor you get. So these really base, bitter and sour flavors. The longer the water spends in contact with coffee, the more access it has to the chemicals that are more complicated that sit behind that. So you tend to get sweeter, richer things. Fruit tends to be, an apple, let's say. When we taste it, you're getting all these different inputs. So you're getting a level of sugar, sweetness, you're getting a level of acidity, and the two work together to give you that kind of ripe sensation. So a great apple is one that's ripened enough that the sugars balance out the acidity. But you also get the aromatic compounds, which are also in coffee. Different coffees will have different kind of fruit flavors or fruit profiles, depending on how it's been processed. But sweetness tends to be the hardest one to pull out. And there is no sugar in coffee, so it's all perceived sweetness. So it's weird chemicals and weird aromatic sensations that our brain kind of trips over itself trying to categorize and goes, oh, it tastes sweet. Bitterness comes at the end as well, but you get a different kind of bitterness with over-extraction, which tends to be more kind of marmite-y, overwhelming, maybe some umami sensations, but very small amounts dominate the cup profile. So a tiny kind of a milligram of this ruins everything else that you've done. Normally, your grind size determines how fast the water moves through. If the grind is really coarse, it's more like pebbles, so the water just rolls around the outside. If the grind is really fine, more like sand, it absorbs more water and it's just harder for the water to find a route through. So that's how you control contact time on a traditional machine. The challenge with that is it also changes the amount of flavor that moves in a set period of time. So if you have a finer grind, it's easier for the water to access those chemicals. So you get faster rates of extraction as well as a slower extraction time. With this, we almost separate those variables. So you then get a constant brewing time because it's based on the pressure of what you're pushing down with and where this release is. That's completely separate from your grind size. So whilst it's designed not to be about you needing to use a fresh grinder to get a great result, you can actually adjust the flavor by using different grind sizes. You'll still get the right brewing time and you'll still get the right depth of flavor, but you might pull different flavors out of the coffee. This is how much water to how much coffee normally determines the texture of the shot, how thick and syrupy it feels, or how clean the flavors are. Because often you sacrifice beautiful texture to get really clean flavors, or vice versa.